beginning with the first investigation. Here, the focus is on exploring the effect of wind speed using this setup. What you see here is a bubble potometer. It's a piece of equipment we use in biology to investigate how fast a plant takes up water, which is directly linked to how fast it's transpiring. Let's walk through the main parts and what they do. We've got the transpiring plant, or cut shoot, that's the part actually losing water through transpiration. There's a reservoir filled with water, which lets us reset the air bubble in the capillary tube. The capillary tube itself has a volume scale, and inside it is an air bubble. As the plant absorbs water, this bubble moves along the scale, showing us exactly how much water was taken up over time. A rubber bung seals the chute into the apparatus so the whole system stays airtight. We also have a beaker of water, which supplies the plant and helps with setting up the potometer. Around the setup, there are tools for testing different environmental effects, like a fan to simulate wind, a constant lamp to keep light intensity steady, and a thermometer to monitor temperature so it doesn't interfere with our results. There's also an anemometer to measure wind speed and a timer to record how long each trial lasts. The experiment itself is straightforward. First, record where the air bubble starts in the capillary tube. Then, leave the setup running for a set amount of time while the plant transpires. After that, record where the bubble ends up and measure how far it's traveled. This tells you the volume of water absorbed. Next, use the reservoir tap to push the bubble back to the start so you're ready for the next run. Finally, you can repeat the experiment, changing one factor at a time, like light intensity, to see how it affects transpiration. Now, let's look at how we can investigate the effect of wind speed on transpiration using a bubble potometer. First, here's the list of materials and apparatus we'll need: a water basin, a scalpel or sharp scissors, the potometer itself, a little Vaseline or oil, a paper towel, a timer, a lamp, a ruler, a thermometer, an electric fan set, and an anemometer. On the diagram, you'll notice the main parts of the bubble potometer: the fan set for generating wind, the transpiring plant with its cut shoot, the lamp for providing light, the rubber bung to seal the apparatus, the thermometer to check temperature, the reservoir for resetting the bubble, the capillary tube with an air bubble inside, the volume scale for measuring movement, the beaker of water supplying the plant, and of course, the anemometer for measuring wind speed. With all of these in place, we can precisely measure how changes in wind speed affect the plant's rate of transpiration. Here's how we'll carry out the experiment to investigate the effect of wind speed on transpiration using a bubble potometer. First, we cut the plant chute underwater. This stops air from getting into the xylem. Next, we assemble the potometer while it's still underwater, sealing all the joints with oil or Vaseline so there's no leakage. Once it's ready, we place the potometer on the workbench with the capillary tube submerged in water. We then dry the plant's leaves so there's no extra water blocking the stomator. Now, we let a single air bubble form in the potometer, and then return the capillary tube to the water. The setup is placed in a room where wind speed can be controlled, either by using a fan set to different speeds or by creating separate wind conditions in different rooms. We measure the actual wind speed with an anemometer for accuracy. Over a fixed period, say, 30 minutes, we watch and measure how far the air bubble moves along the capillary tube. That distance tells us the rate of transpiration. We repeat the experiment for each wind speed at least twice, so our results are reliable. And throughout the whole process, we keep other factors like temperature and light intensity constant, so we're only measuring the effect of wind speed. In this experiment, the movement of the air bubble in the potometer directly shows us the plant's rate of transpiration. As we change the wind speed, we watch closely and record how quickly the bubble moves over time. When the wind speed is higher, we expect the bubble to move faster, because stronger winds sweep away the moisture around the leaf surfaces. This increases evaporation, which pulls more water up through the plant. As a result, more water is lost, and the bubble travels more quickly along the tube. On the other hand, when wind speed is lower, the air around the plant becomes more saturated with water vapor. That slows evaporation, meaning less water is drawn up, and the bubble moves more slowly. So, by comparing the bubble's movement at different wind speeds, we can clearly see how air movement affects a plant's ability to lose water through transpiration. In our results, the distance the air bubble travels in the potometer shows us how fast the plant is transpiring under different wind speeds. When the wind speed increases, the bubble tends to move faster. That's because stronger winds boost evaporation from the leaves, which pulls more water up through the xylem to replace the lost moisture. So, the faster the wind, the quicker the bubble moves, meaning the plant is losing more water. When wind speed is low, or there's no wind at all, the bubble moves more slowly. Without moving air to carry away the moisture around the stomator, evaporation slows down, less water is drawn up, and transpiration decreases. Overall, these results make it clear, higher winds lead to greater water loss, while lower winds reduce the rate of transpiration. In conclusion, wind speed has a clear and significant effect on a plant's rate of transpiration. As wind speed increases, the rate of transpiration generally rises. This happens because faster moving air sweeps away the moisture that builds up around the stomator, encouraging more evaporation from the leaf surfaces. As that moisture is removed more quickly, the plant has to draw up more water to replace it, which pushes the transpiration rate higher. On the other hand, when wind speed is low or there's no wind at all, the air around the plant becomes saturated with water vapor. This slows evaporation, so the plant loses less water, and transpiration decreases. Overall, this experiment shows just how much wind speed can influence water loss in plants. Faster air movement speeds the process up, while slower air movement slows it down.